Okay, so theoretically, if I was to not be, all right, okay, I'm gonna start. No, I'm not gonna start over. I'm just gonna keep on going because there's 7 stages of psychoanalytic development, and as a person, it grows up. They always follow these stages, and it is like calling the sky blue. It's just something that happens, and it's a very clinical process wherein at any rate, so this is something that is happens, and as somebody grows up, there's a psychoanalytic way of looking at it, and then the developmental part is about working with other people in groups. And so I didn't want to just. Is this roasted? Okay, they're not roasted. Perfect. So the first stage is trust building, and that is psychoanalytically, you're always talking about childhood. Yeah, I don't know if anybody's familiar, but the childhood is very well studied, and it's all about primarily at first it's a dyadic group with just two people, and then after that it's actually like a group of people. And so in order to develop this experimentally, you'd have to look at, there's some examples. You can't really like omit a stage from somebody's life. So in order to experimentally do this, you'd have to look at some case studies. Good, okay, got that. I have some little butters. So the case studies that I'd be using are, there's 2 of them. One's the wolf children, and they were found in, raised by wolves. One of them died pretty quickly, but then the other one actually grew up and went through all these developmental stages. And the other example is brainwashing, and that's when a brand new identity is developed, and that's what the developmental part is all about, is your identity, and it has to do with groups. So anyway, when a child is first developing or whatever, it learns to acquire things, to trust the source. And and then I'm also going to talk about strongmen, who are fascists and use these stages to take advantage of people, usually. So what am I getting at here? The wolf children, they didn't really trust anyone. They had their favorite isolated corner, and where's the sugar? And what else? Only ate raw meat and milk. It took some time for them to trust their captors, and they were at first oftentimes uncomfortable with it, but then they learned to trust, and even after that, even after all that, they learned to look at their captors as somebody to be loved, almost father-like, oftentimes. And the strongman uses anxiety to regress people back to this stage. So they'll use anxiety about like sex or things that you can't really control, but it will make anxiety, and then they come in with an antidote. Here we go. I was trying to do that. Rules. That's the second stage. That's when people can now move their limbs, and they learn rules, and there's and if you break the rules, then you feel alienated, and that's good. And a strong man legitimizes his rule by making himself a victim. The strong man is ironically always a victim and must take revenge. And then in the wolf children, oh my goodness, how are you gonna make it through this? How can you do this? This is too much. It's like a page per thingy madoom per stage. So the wolf children, what do they have to do with rules? And what is a rule anyway? It's like, okay, I know that this will happen if I don't do this and stuff like that. And but in brainwashing, they don't actually use rules. It's all about in-group, out-group, and yeah, I mean they have a lot of rules, but you also have to. Okay, it's you're. Oh my goodness, this is too much. But I have this rule. Words that end in words that I don't care about them. And that's why it's like, okay, you're just gonna write a paper? No, I'm not just gonna write a paper. I'm gonna do this dumb. It's not a dumb presentation. These are the basics. Conscience happens when people can move, and in childhood, all of a sudden you're like, oh, morality. This person that I'm talking to. Oh, right. So I usually take gluten development. You do like the bread flour first. I don't know. Maybe that does something. Oh yeah. So now they can ambulatory. They're moving around, sensing stuff, learning about different people, and what does this strong man do? Oh, this strong man, what does he do? Oh, he makes a hierarchy. What? Legitimized with social. Oh, mythologies. I don't know what I was saying here. It's very elaborate, and they exploit. I don't even know, but it makes sense in context. Maybe it does. I still gotta reread this thing. And oh yeah, okay, I need the other kind of flour too. Oh my goodness. This is gonna be yummy though. You know, the last batch of these got some compliments. But so when you have a conscience, it's exploited. That's right. So that's how it's exploited by this strong man, is that they say, huh? So yeah, make you think about it, and yeah, that's right. They make you think about it and then rethink, and that also has to do with brainwashing. Brainwashing requires not only conditioning, where you're in a state of what's going on. Usually this is not me. This is like 80-year-old facts. Brainwashers use fake science in order to condition their captives, and the fake science produces a state of conditioning, and oftentimes there'll be mythology. That's right. So that's why the strongman uses mythology. So roles. That's the next stage after one learns of. I'm gonna save a little bit of this. Maybe it'll be too dry. Oh, and I have to get out of here. Just little bit. I'm not. There's no secrets here. It's just like. I heard one time they were like, "Oh, I don't even know if the chef uses this stuff." Just a little bit, like a teaspoon, not a tablespoon. Tablespoon's 3 teaspoons. So the apprentice will. What do they do? Where did my little mousey? Is it to the right? Yeah. Okay, so for to start with the what do you do? Oh, what? I missed that stage? No, okay, that stage was like propaganda, right? So when you have fake science, all of a sudden you have all this work to do, because you have to, and so strongmen really put them to work. You know what I mean? It's not easy defending something that the smartest and brightest, and look, these psychological stages, they were developed by people who saw like literally thousands of patients, and they saw exactly the same stages constantly, and it does it over and over again in one's life, resolving. That's what happens with each of these stages. And the wolf children, they never really, they kind of got it, but not really. And where is this even? Oh, here we go. I mean, when brainwashers would give them these, they would have to write these long confessions, hundreds of pages of confessions, and amidst labor. So all their free time was spent studying propaganda and labor, and eventually you end up. Okay, so right. I mean, I just talk about how the wolf children learned how to walk, basically, and it's like kind of tough to do this. At any rate, I'm almost done. So this is the next stage, and you know, this looks really good, but also it could be a little bit less of that and a little bit more of these little chunkies in here, because I'm just going to use the rest of them. Oh, and these have to be folded in because they're so fragile. These sliced blanche almonds. And we're getting at the stage when I can probably get the oven reheating. I mean, I already did it once, but I guess it's technically reheating it. So the identity stage of identity development is actually, ironically, you don't actually, not turbo, 300. You actually find your identity in a group, so there you have it. At this stage, usually teens and 20s, you find a structure outside of your childhood, and that really helps you to. It doesn't help you, but you find a close relationship, and you see yourself constantly in this other individual, and that's identity stage. But that's easy to exploit. The fascist regimes would give everyone uniforms, and that way they all see the sameness in other people, because a group is formed through sameness, and not only sameness, but also a sense of completing oneself within the group. So you find your fulfillment and your completion, your purpose in life, while seeing a sense of sameness. So that's identity. Ironically, the wolf children wouldn't really, they always had an identity, but they were never developing any identity. They were very resistant to it, because the caretaker of this wolf child said, "Oh, it's the wolf in them," or it's primitive primitivity. And finally, beyond identity is the generativity. That's usually in the 30s when you stop caring as much about, well, it's not that you don't care, but it's just that you're worried about ethics, you're worried about these, not only the quantity of generating, but also the quality. And so you start to look at the structure you found, and by the 30s, it's usually ideal structure, and so you're more, but at any rate, you found the ideal structure, and you may be still looking at other cool, I don't know, other cool possibilities. I don't know if you can see this. Let me. Pretty cool. Zoom in. So there's all these like possibilities, and so that's what generativity is about, or something like that. Oh, right, yeah, because you start to say there's other stuff you can do. That's exploited by the strongman and the brainwashers. Kind of the same thing, right? Not really, because the brainwashing is when it's a prison, and you don't have a choice, and the strongman is when you decide that this is the way that you're going to be presenting yourself, and what can I say? Oh, I was going to make a pie chart and explain something that would tie all that together. That's too much. This is not going to stick on there. Don't worry. I washed my hands. When you work in the kitchen, you're like washing your hands 100 times. I was actually gonna do just egg whites. What am I talking about here? This is, oh right, because this is relevant, I guess. Beats me. Is this relevant? Okay, but I learned what this is called. This is called honey, and it is the good stuff, and it makes everything stick together. And what I wish that I actually, if I wasn't always in such a dang, where did I need a knife? So what is the closer for this? Oh, totalitarian identity? I mean, this was something that when these developmental stages were being worked out, 100 million people died in 10 years. I mean, yeah, like 6 to 8 million people were Jews, and they died because of totalitarian identity. This was something that when they were developing the stages of development, they recognized that particularly, how do I go back? Like, oh right, resolving each, I don't know, this was just like one of those, and that's how many people died. That times 10 million. Not 10 million, that was 10 million Jews. 100 million people died because of all that. I mean, that should be my closer. No, that is okay, but for real, I'm not like making this take too long. I'm thinking about the paper that I wrote. You don't end it. Oh right, I didn't end it. I went back to the beginning. I did it in reverse order when I was explaining totalitarian identity. So then you're in the trust stage at the beginning again, and then you're the only worry. Oh, but I'm not. This actually probably. It's probably good. It's probably good. Look at that. So yeah, it's all about anxiety, and if you don't, and not trusting. Oh my gosh, this went on so long. There's some to go for the
parking lady.
For the parking lady. And then here's the rest of them for. Well, there was more than this, but then there was some. There were some visitors. Like how many people? A group of 8.
I had a group of 5.
5.
Yeah, and we had this last lady.
These are a little sticky on top, so. All right, there they go.